Saint Sophia. Historic structure. First church. The first church was known as the Great Church, because of its larger dimensions in comparison to the contemporary churches in the city. Inaugurated during the reign of Constantius II by the Arian bishop Dexys of Antioch, it was built next to the area where the imperial palace was being developed. The nearby St. Aaron Church was completed earlier and served as cathedral until the St. Sophia was completed. Both churches acted together as the principal churches of the Byzantine Empire. The edifice of the first church was built as a traditional Latin colonnaded basilica with galleries and a wooden roof. It was preceded by an atrium. It was claimed to be one of the world's most outstanding monuments at the time. The Patriarch of Constantinople, John Chrysostom, came into a conflict with Empress Eudoxia, wife of the Emperor Arcadius, and was sent into exile. During the subsequent riots, this first church was largely burnt down. Nothing remains of the first church today. Historic structure. Second church. A second church was ordered by Theodosius II, who inaugurated it. The basilica with a wooden roof was built by architect Rufinus. A fire started during the tumult of the Nika revolt and burned the second Saint Sophia to the ground. Several marble blocks from the second church survive to the present. Among them are reliefs depicting 12 lambs representing the 12 apostles. Originally part of a monumental front entrance, they now reside in an excavation pit adjacent to the museum's entrance. Discovered in 1935 beneath the western courtyard by Schneider, further digging was forsaken for fear of impinging on the integrity of the Saint Sophia. Historic structure. Third church. Only a few days after the destruction of the second basilica, Emperor Justinian I elected to build a third and entirely different basilica, larger and more majestic than its predecessors. Justinian chose physicist Isidore of Miletus and mathematician Anthemius of Tralles as architects. Anthemius, however, died within the first year of the endeavor. The construction is described in the Byzantine historian Procopius on buildings. The emperor had material brought from all over the empire, such as Hellenistic columns from the Temple of Artemis at Ephesus, large stones from quarries in porphyry from Egypt, green marble from Thessaly, black stone from the Bosporus region, and yellow stone from Syria. More than 10,000 people were employed. This new church was contemporaneously recognized as a major work of architecture. The theories of Heron of Alexandria may have been utilized to address the challenges presented by building such an expansive dome over so large a space. The emperor, together with the Patriarch Eutychius, inaugurated the new basilica with much pomp. The mosaics inside the Saint Sophia was the seat of the Orthodox Patriarch of Constantinople, and a principal setting for Byzantine imperial ceremonies, such as coronations. The basilica also offered asylum to wrongdoers. Earthquakes caused cracks in the main dome and eastern half-dome. The main dome collapsed completely during a subsequent earthquake, destroying the ambon, altar, and ciborium. The crash was due mainly to the too high bearing load and to the enormous shearing load of the dome, which was too flat. These caused the deformation of the piers which sustained the dome. The emperor ordered an immediate restoration. He entrusted it to Isidore the Younger, nephew of Isidore of Miletus, who used lighter materials and elevated the dome by 30 feet, about 625 meters, giving the building its current interior height of 55.6 meters, 182 feet. Moreover, Isidore has changed the dome type, erecting a rib dome with pendentions, whose diameter lay between 32.7 and 33.5 meters. This reconstruction, giving the church its present 6th century form, was completed in 562. The basilica suffered damage, first in a great fire, and again in an earthquake, that made a half-dome collapse. Emperor Basil I ordered the church repaired. Upon the capture of Constantinople, the church was ransacked and desecrated by the Latin Christians. The Byzantine historian Nicetas Choniates described the capture of Constantinople. Many reputed relics from the church, such as a stone from the tomb of Jesus, the Virgin Mary's milk, the shroud of Jesus, and bones of several saints, were sent to churches in the West and can be seen there now in various museums. During the Latin occupation of Constantinople, the church became a Roman Catholic cathedral. After the recapture by the Byzantines, the church was in a dilapidated state. Emperor Andronicus II ordered 4 new buttresses to be built in the eastern and northern parts of the church, financing them with the inheritance of his deceased wife, Irene. New cracks developed in the dome after an earthquake which occurred the following year, and several parts of the building collapsed. Consequently, the church was closed until repairs were undertaken by architects Yestres and Peralta. Historic structure. Mosque. Immediately after the conquest of Constantinople, Mehmet II converted Saint Sophia into the Sophia Mosque. As described by several Western visitors, the church was in a dilapidated state, with several of its doors off. Sultan Mehmet II ordered the cleanup of the church and its conversion. Saint Sophia became the first imperial mosque of Istanbul. To the corresponding waqf, which is an inalienable religious endowment in Islamic law, typically denoting a building or plot of land for Muslim religious or charitable purposes, were endowed most of the existing houses in the city and the area of the future Topkapi Palace. A small minaret was erected on the southwest corner of the building, above the stair tower. Later, the subsequent Sultan, Bayezid II, built another minaret. Both of them were replaced later. The most famous restoration of the Saint Sophia was ordered by Sultan Abdulmajid, and completed by 800 workers, under the supervision of the Swiss-Italian architect brothers Gaspar and Giuseppe Fossotti. The brothers consolidated the dome and vaults, straightened the columns, and revised the decoration of the exterior and the interior of the building. The mosaics in the upper gallery were cleaned. The old chandeliers were replaced by new pendant ones. New gigantic circular framed discs or medallions were hung on columns. They were inscribed with the names of Allah, the Prophet Muhammad, the first 4 caliphs Abu Bakr, Umar, Uthman and Ali, and the 2 grandchildren of Muhammad, Hassan and Hussein, by the calligrapher Kazazkarist Effendi. The architect Fossotti built a new Sultan's gallery in a Neo-Byzantine style, connected to the royal pavilion behind the mosque. Outside the Saint Sophia, a timekeeper's building and a new madrasa were built. The minarets were altered so that they were of equal height. When the restoration was finished, The mosque was reopened with ceremonial pomp. Historic structure. Museum. In 1935, the first Turkish president and founder of the Republic of Turkey, Mustafa Kemal Atatürk, transformed the building into a museum. The carpets were removed and the marble floor decorations such as the mfelian appeared for the first time in centuries, while the white plaster covering many of the mosaics was removed. Nevertheless, the condition of the structure deteriorated, and the World Monuments Fund placed St. Sophia on World Monuments Watch. The building's copper roof had cracked, causing water to leak down over the fragile frescoes and mosaics. Rising groundwater had raised the level of humidity within the monument, creating an unstable environment for stone and paint. With the help of financial services company American Express, WMF secured a series of grants for the restoration of the dome. Today, use of the complex as a place of worship, mosque or church, is strictly prohibited. However, in 2006, it was reported that the Turkish government allowed the allocation of a small room in the museum complex to be used as a prayer room for Christian and Muslim museum staff. Turkish fine arts photographer Emre Çak's close-up pictures of the restored mosaics can be viewed in the upper northern gallery of the St. Sophia, in a permanent exhibition.